everyone, and thank you for joining us today for this conversation. I'm hoping that we get to share ideas and stories and information with each other, and our experiences as being Black business owners and where we'd like to see it go in the future. So at this time, I think that I will, Trish, are you jumping on? If not, we'll go ahead and ask our panelists to introduce themselves. But we're going to give Trisha an opportunity first to welcome us. Trisha, are you there?
I am here. This technology thing is wonderful. I love it. I love it. Okay, so it should allow me to join. There we go.
There you are.
Hello.
Hey.
Thank you all for joining us, and thank you for your patience, and thank you for just allowing us to go through this with technology, and we'll get it right. And once we get it right, we'll all be back together again. And so this is just great. My name is Trish Walker, and I just like to welcome you to our conversation with our Black business owners. We're just have a dialogue and going on with your business. How can we be a better? We have resource partners that are joining us today. And we have the Idaho Connect, and we have BAM, and I know I'm going to butcher your
butcher
name. So we have some great participation here. And so we just want to have a conversation with you today. I would just like to welcome you all. And we chose for our moderator for our conversation, Sherry Baber. Sherry Baber is a longtime business owner in our community. She has been in the Boise community for over 30 years. She has a salon. She has a couple of nonprofits that she is the CEO and founder of. She has a ton of Black business owners that she has either mentored or taught, and they've gone on to open their own establishments in this valley. And so I would just like to give Sherry the virtual mic, pass it over to her, and just let her take this conversation away. So thank you, Sherry.
All right. So good afternoon, everybody. So being a Black business owner in Idaho 30 some odd years ago when I came here was an interesting avenue. So some of you know my backstory. I'm just going to give you a brief part. When I came here, it was with I wanted to open a salon that specialized in textured hair because I found out through my brother that didn't exist here. And I'm kind of a trailblazer at heart. So I came here and did everything I was supposed to do, got my business plan and all that stuff, and went to get a business loan and was denied. And that was very, very discouraging, and, could have been the end of, my dream, but I didn't allow that to stop me. And so here we are 33 years later, and Cutting Up still exists and is thriving. And like Trish said, has helped many other entrepreneurs open their own salon and go on. So part of being part of the Idaho BCA, I want other entrepreneurs not to have to go through what I went through. So I think with the Idaho Black Community Alliance, we have an opportunity to make these pathways easier. You don't have to be necessarily a trailblazer when there's avenues and areas that we can help. So what I found out before I ask each of you to introduce yourself is that when we move here from somewhere else, one of the things we do is look for things that make you feel at home. So I'm going to tell you a quick little short story, and then we're going to ask each of the panelists to introduce themselves and talk to us a little bit about their journey and their businesses, and then we'll go on to the questions. When I first moved here, even though I knew I was a trailblazer, there wasn't a Black salon. I really did not realize where I had stepped into. I came before my things came, and I needed some hair grease. So there was Albertsons around the corner from my house. So And Albertsons, where I come from, there's a small, little section where you can buy some black hair care shampoo and some hair grease. And I went into Albertsons and I couldn't find that section. So I asked the people, I said, hey, where do you find hair grease in here? And the little guy, he was probably a 17-year-old sacker. I don't know. He was a kid and he was like, hair grease. And I said, yeah, hair grease. He said, well, we got chicken grease. We got like Crisco on that aisle. And then I realized, really, oh my God, you can't even go to Albertsons and buy some hair grease. Like you could do that at home. So that was my first like, wow, okay, this is really different. Because in communities that have a larger Black population, some of your everyday staples you can buy in Albertsons or Safeway or, whatever. And so I knew then that I was probably onto something when it came to Black hair care products in Idaho. So with that, I would like to, I can see everybody on the screen, so I'm just going to start with my left, and that would be Candace. Candace, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're doing in your entrepreneurship journey?
Yes, ma'am. So my name is Candace Williams Guadagnoli, and I'm a practitioner in the health and wellness industry. So I'm a multidiscipline practitioner. So I have a yoga practice and also herbalist practice within my business, and the business name is Honey's Holistics, LLC. And I am very new to Boise. I just arrived in Boise last May. And I was so happy when I met Ms. Sherry and Trish. And I'm continuing to meet a lot of people through Idaho BCA, and also Ms. Sherry and all her nonprofit organizations and events that both of you put on. So thank you for having me, and I'm honored to be here.
Thank you so much. Vegan Soul, you're next on my screen. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurship journey?
Yes, my name is Meg Gaines. I'm the owner of Vegan Soul food business here in Boise, Idaho. And I've been an entrepreneur actually since 1997. I've been working for myself for quite a long time. And I've branched out of a lot of different businesses. I was a hairdresser at one point. I started off as a hairdresser. I did nails, and then I went into massage therapy, which I did for like 20 years. And I was also a cook and caterer in California, which was a big business for me there as well. And but when I came to Idaho 5 years ago, I've always been in shape, always worked out and stuff. And when I got here, I decided to go vegan because my health was changing. Something about the environment changed my health dramatically. Probably the cold weather for one, because I came Snowmageddon time, and the snow just would not stop till like April. And I came January the 1st. So but when I came here and I decided to go vegan, I discovered that there was no vegan restaurants anywhere. So in my support of businesses locally, I decided to just go around and just find businesses and research businesses. That's what I do whenever I go anywhere. I always try to go and research businesses, Black businesses especially, and businesses that cater to us. So that's something I've been doing for years. I'm a big supporter of our businesses. And so I went to like all the festivals. I went to many festivals throughout the summer, spring, and there was no vegan food nowhere. I went and I was actually excited to go to the Soul Food Festival. And I went to the Soul Food Festival, and all we were able to eat was like okra and watermelon that time. So I said, this is a need. It was a need for a vegan business. And as I went around asking about, do you have vegan food? When I would ask, people would be like, vegan food? Like they would turn their face up like, vegan? And I was thinking, I realized that there was a big misconception about vegan food. Like it's nasty and nobody wants vegan food. So I said, let me make stuff and show people that there is an amazing variety of vegan food that you can have, and you can still enjoy food like you did before. So I decided to start Vegan Soul. And one of my goals in starting Vegan Soul is so that there would be vegan food for our people. Of course, I want to cater to everyone, but my sole purpose really was to cater to my people. And just in August, when you guys had the Soul Food Festival, again, it was pretty much me. It was full circle for me, because that's where I started. That idea started on that grass when I was at the Soul Food Festival. I said, I'm going to be here next year as a vegan vendor. And then I was there, of course, as a representing vegan food. So that's been my journey. You know, I've had a lot of successes and I've had some setbacks. Most of my setbacks, even though I've been an entrepreneur for the last, since 97, I don't even know how long that's been now, but my biggest setbacks came when I came to Idaho. I never had a problem starting a business and getting it going and having people come to me. But Idaho was a different challenge for me. And it's good training. So, you know, it's only going to make me a better entrepreneur even more. So, yeah, that's my journey of being here and being a business owner here.
Thank you so much, May. I appreciate your interjections. Bam, I'm not even going to attempt that last name either. Nope.
If you
Go
can
ahead
say
and share.
if you can say Toyota, you can say my last name. It's Omotoa. It's that easy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's go. I'm in Idaho Falls. My name is Bam Omotoa. Of course, because it's difficult to pronounce all these names, it tells you it's one name that immigrated. So I came out of Nigeria, out of about 26 years ago, and came straight to Idaho. So it's such a change in my experience in the cold, the culture, and the environment. And it's interesting. 2 or 3 stories. First time come, I think like Vegan said, the first thing was to run away. And somebody told me, well, you know, you have to learn about other people. And so we decided to stay and get used to Idaho. Your story, the first time you came, is probably very shared by everybody because it's a culture shock. But again, one other thing is when we have learned to stay, we have also learned that there is more superficiality than reality. And I think, like we can say, there's opportunity, then there is not. And so even though those things come at the first time, over the time, my family lives, my wife, myself have raised 4 children here. We've lived in Moscow up north for 7 years and lived in Idaho Falls now for 16 years, so about 23 years in the state. Started business. I worked first at the university in Moscow. So I trained to be a chemist, a chemical engineering person. So I was at the university in Moscow and then came down to the Idaho National Lab here. And after some time, went to industry in the same town, Idaho Falls. And then, you know, for reasons that are always there, decided to start on our own, which is a risk you take, a lot of risk out here. But again, we'll be talking about that. So we started a company called Pro Hero Technologies. We developed technology to sell to other industries around the country. And that's what we do here. We didn't have capital to start those kind of heavy lifting. The government typically has programs where you compete for some of these things. And the company we started has competed frequently and won a few of these things. And so staying in Idaho has evolved for my family and of course also helped to provide opportunity in this society. Because one thing that is the whole nation knows is we're contrasted in this environment very easily. And I will go to Washington and people tell me, how did you end up there? These are folks from I always tell people the wheels from a plane dropped and I found myself on the ground, whatever. I'm here. And so I'm enjoying myself. And it's nice to meet you all, really. There's a lot we talk about going forward.
Thank you so much, Bam. Trish Walker, you're up. Will you talk to us a little bit about your entrepreneurship journey?
Hello, my name is Trish Walker, and I am the CEO and founder of the Idaho Black Community Alliance. My journey just started in January. I have always I'm a fourth generation Idahoan, born and raised in Boise, Idaho. And I've always been in corporate. And I just found that I wanted to have the opportunity to support my community, my Black community, my Idaho community. And in that, I've learned that there was no support, or there was very little support, or there was the assumption that there was support for the Black community. And so we have created the BCA, which is for the Black businesses, which is for the community and for our kids. And we just plan to support our community, and where each entrepreneur is in their journey, we want to support everyone just to be the best Idahoan that they can be while they're here. So thank you for that opportunity.
All right, all that was super great. I'm so excited. I don't think I missed anyone. If I had one of you guys that are computer savvy and I'm not, let me know. In the meantime, I'm going to move on just a little bit. One of the things that I talk to people about often when they move here is, if you want to make this your home and you want to start a business, it's just like what Megan said, like, research what it is that is not here. And after our 2019 Soul Food Festival, one of the comments that we got was the fact that there were no vegan options. And so, Megan, when you came on the scene, we were like, "Ooh, that's one of the things that, people who commented on the festival were desiring." And so that's kind of what I'm looking to talk about today, to help us as Black business owners realize what the need is for all of us to feel more in community. Some of the things that I talk about is the fact that when we move here from someplace else and we start to look for things that will keep us connected to our community and our culture while we're here, are things that are not readily available. So if you're looking to start a new business, things like a Black mortician, a speakeasy, a place where you can go listen to Black jazz, those are things that are readily available in other Black communities that we have not tapped into yet. So I said that, so if you have a relative, a family member, even yourself, we would be absolutely ecstatic to talk to you about some of the things, because what is true for all of us is that the Black community is growing here in Idaho, and we have a unique opportunity to jump on those trailblazing opportunities. So with that being said, I would like to move into our questions. Question number one is, what did you do to prepare for entrepreneurship? I kind of fell into entrepreneurship. Like, I didn't set out to be an entrepreneur, right? I'm just a hairdresser, and I was just looking to do hair in a place where there was nobody else, because I figured I could stay in Sacramento and fight for a clientele, or with the information that was given to me that this didn't exist here, I could come to Idaho, be a trailblazer, and be able to support my family. That was just my, my whole mindset. I didn't even think I understood the word entrepreneurship at that time. But what I did realize is that in my line of industry, when you go to look for money or resources, capital, even a brick and mortar, one of the things that always was said to me up front was location, 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 right? Okay. And if you don't pick a good location, your business was going to not be a good risk. You will fail. Well, when I came to the table, I told them that's not true for me, because nobody else is doing what I'm doing. So I could put my business in a basement and people were going to come because there was nobody else available. That was one of the reasons why I think I might have been turned down, is that they didn't see my vision. And because they weren't Black and they figured you can go to Supercuts or go anywhere and get your hair cut, they didn't understand what it is that my business would bring to the community. All they had was their own small circle information. And so I'm going to propose the question to each one of you. What did you do to prepare to become an entrepreneur? Candace, we're going to start with you.
Okay, so my journey began in COVID. And I know there were a lot of changes for just about everyone within COVID. And I just like Trish, was in corporate for most of my work history. And once COVID hit and I found myself unemployed, I started asking myself a lot of questions. And that included, what is it that I want to do? What type of person do I really want to be? Because now is the opportunity for me to sit still and listen to myself and understand more about my journey. And so with my passions and what was my side practice as a yoga instructor, I was already in the health and wellness industry. And so I knew that I wanted to help heal people. I knew that I wanted to be able to encourage and inspire. So that's where my entrepreneur journey began. And in order to prepare, I had to go deep with it. I had to ask myself those important questions and what that looked like for me and what I wanted to present to everyone else, what type of healing I wanted to give. So in order to prepare, I definitely had to ask those questions and be honest with myself, be true to myself, and start from square one and understand that it wasn't going to be easy, but I had to be open to the process. I had to communicate with others. I had to ask questions, and I had to always be a student.
Good stuff. Thank you. Ms. Meg Gaines?
And my for each time that I decide to go into a new venture, I had to prepare quite a bit. One of the things that was my strategy, I learned over the years that I've only been an entrepreneur as long as I have been because of my marketing strategies. I am a firm believer in advertisement. When you got your last dollar, put it on advertisement, because it would bring in more money, and it takes money to make money. So in my preparation, I did a lot of advertisement first. I did a lot of teasing people with pictures and sounds and videos and things like that. So it was the same process with the Vegan Soul. I had to do a lot of advertisement, and I realized, because I wasn't sure, the biggest thing that I wasn't knowing was how many vegans was actually in the Treasure Valley, because there was no vegan restaurants or anything. And so I had to prepare. And so I started researching Idaho and finding out what Idaho is about. And what I learned is Idaho is a meat eating state. They're a meat eating state, but Idaho is home to the nation's highest quality seeds that are planted around the world. They're home to the highest quality vegetables that are distributed all over the world. And they're home to, Idaho is home to huge chickpea farms, and we're the produce capital, basically. We have been for a long time. So it seemed to me that Idaho is the perfect place to be a vegan capital. So I'm kind of starting way at the end of the line, wanting to push Idaho in the forefront of veganism in the nation. And I think it's the perfect place, but I had to do a lot of research, and I found that I probably wasn't going to have a lot of support at first, So I started to advertise. I did my advertisements, and I discovered before my very first pop-up, I had tons of people already wanting to try my food. Before I advertised a burger or anything, I just said, hey, I'm a vegan restaurant that's going to be opening soon. And I realized that's when I knew there were a lot more vegans, which was kind of sad to me, because I was like, dang, wait a minute. So there's 5,000, in my first month or two, I discovered there was 5,000 people. There's more than that, of course. But, in my response is, okay, that's a lot of people. And why no one's catering to these people? So that was my preparation, is doing a lot of research as to who I could serve and if they would be receptive to my food. So after trying, going around to places too that said they had vegan, that was a whole journey too, because people recommend that these places are delicious and some places were not. Right. So it was just tons and tons of research in the fields of people trying food, what they like, asking people what they liked. I did a lot of that too. And going to those festivals. So there was a lot. I was doing a lot of research that first year before I started Vegan Soul. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. Bam?
I comment on the first two things I've heard that I want to say before I quickly go to my own. I'm so grateful, Ms. Trish, that what you do with the BCA, 4 generations means a lot. And it says we've been here for that long. It matters a lot in this state, and we'd like to state it. It's a statement claim. So your presence means a lot to all of us. The years of your generations before now, we thank you, and it means a lot. Please don't make light of that, because they need to know in Boise. We've been here for a long time. The other thing is, I think for Ms. Vigan, one of the good things is the Lord is so nice. It just means that you're starting from a very disadvantaged point to the future. If the future was already here, then there is not a future. What you're creating is the future. And so what it says is your lifetime will have a meaning from taking something from the back there right to the front there. So thank you for all these things. Well, I don't know. I think, like you said, Ms. Sherry, for me, I think the opportunity, maybe the Lord found it. The kind of thing I do, you can't be bold enough in my kind of station to do it. But maybe the Lord found me, is what I would say. These are heavy investment kind of things in my judgment for my kind. But when the Lord brought it to me, so I think I worked in industry at a time, and I had somebody who was in front of me and who was not Black and who took jealousy into it and tried to make my life a little miserable. And my wife got to the point and said, well, here it stops. And I'm like, I've never done this in my life. I've always taken a paycheck. And so we just found an opportunity that showed up and said, if you can compete, well, you can win. Nobody said someone like me ever got there. So we stepped in and tried to use the experience from what we've done. And then maybe we did that for the industry before, and then used our own names to do it. And then we were given that recognition and we were funded. And then we were able to then start. Like I think all of us will know today, it's always a different thing for a Black business, really. You go to the bank to try to take a loan, you're going to realize a little difference in your reality. And so we've learned how to, I think Joseph was the first that said, you keep 2 or 5. I think we keep more than 2 or 5 is what we have to do. But again, we've learned how to keep going forward. So accidental getting in there, but I think the Lord opened that door by making it difficult to go elsewhere. But I think the training, the experience, and working for others before now just thrusted it. If I had my choice, Idaho would not be the place I would be. When I finished in Idaho, Moscow, I was going to California, San Diego. And my wife always prayed, everywhere I go, and my kids will go to jail. God, don't let this guy get a job there. I told her that was bad prayer because I needed money fast. But when we got to Idaho Falls and stopped, at this point, I'm thanking the lady for keeping me here because it's worked out for me, and I'm grateful.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you so much. Trish?
I would say that all of my experience that I've had in being an entrepreneur came from my work in corporate. I was able to have an opportunity to be the lead and to coordinate a affinity group within the company that I worked for. And I also had the opportunity to support 3 sales vice presidents for the company that I worked for. And I think that all of the experience that I got prepared me for what I'm doing right now. And that is to support my community. That is to learn what those businesses need and just get into conversation and finding out who they are and what their needs are. We're not a monolith. And so each I'm learning that each entrepreneur has many different needs. And that may not all be a financial need. It might be in training, it might be in resources that we're able to connect them to. And so I'm just using everything to help me prepare for each entrepreneur that I will encounter or that we will work with. The other thing that I feel that's helped me to become an entrepreneur is mentorship. I had a mentor when I worked for the company that I worked for. Prior to my leaving, I found that she didn't have the same experiences that I did. And so she wasn't able to lead me she was able to lead me, but it was through her experiences. And so I needed to find someone that was able to help me through my experiences. And I found that in Sherry, in Diane, in Tony. And so I have more than one mentor. And I would just say that that's helped me to prepare for the role that I'm in right now. So thank you.
That's an important point, Trish. Thank you so much. That really kind of sets us into our next question. Our next question is, what was your experience when you started your business, and what were some of your challenges? And so, for me, I thought I was going to come here, and because I was the only Black hairdresser in town, right? That all the Black people was gonna be knocking down my door trying to get their hair done. Boy, was I wrong. I was so wrong. The Pacific Northwest is a different kind of community. Not bad. I'm not saying it's bad, but it is different when you come from other places. And so I felt like because there was nobody doing what I was doing, that I was going to have standing room only, people trying to get their hair done. That did not happen at all. And I was so like devastated, confused, baffled, all that stuff. And then, like Candace said earlier, you have to always be willing to learn. Now, I felt like since I was a trailblazer, nobody could know more than me about here that was here already. Otherwise, there would be no need for me. I was wrong. And so what I had to do was take a step back and try to find out, why weren't they flocking to me if they had no choices? Like, what's their problem? Just want to have toe up hair? No. But what I had to do was research the community and realize that it was going to be a process. What I learned making Idaho my home is that fourth generations Idahoans have seen so many people come here and say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And they build relationships with these people, consider them family, whatever. And then 6 months later, they done tore up their hair, messed up their hair, and they gone on back to where they came from. So what I learned is that this is a community that requires trust. People have to know that you are invested for real. So it took me about 5 years to build a clientele that would support me fully. So during those 5 years, I had 2 jobs. I worked from 8 to 5 in a regular job teaching cosmetology, and from 5 to 9 at night, building trust in the Black community that I was who I said I was, and that I was making this my home, and my business wasn't going to pack up in 6 months and leave here. And it took 5 years for the community to actually see that I wanted to be a standing brick and mortar part of this community, that I wasn't just here to take from the community, but I was here to give back to the community as well. So the question on the table is, what was your experience in starting your business and what was the challenges? One of my challenges was I had to build trust within the community. Candace?
So my experience with starting my business is thinking that everything was new and not taking into consideration my past experience in corporate and other jobs. And and understanding that I'm not as green as I think I am. Just having a little more faith in myself to be able to do what it is that I'm setting out to do. So when I started, of course it was COVID, but once things kind of let up and everything with the restrictions, we started doing pop-up shops. And this was in Las Vegas because that's where I was before Idaho. So I was out working pop-up shop after pop-up shop after pop-up shop. And the community that I joined at that time, there was a lot of young Black entrepreneurs, and we were starting our businesses, some more serious than others. But the chatter was like, we're going to keep doing this. Our pop-up shops are going to get bigger and this, that, and the other. And that's fine if that's where you want to be. But the challenge that I had was allowing others and myself to shrink my abilities, And so I had to say, you know what, I have experience in, I was in the gaming industry in Las Vegas, which is huge. And I was in corporate and HR. And so I had my hands in communication. I had my hands in community relations, fundraising, and all these different avenues. And so I need to learn how to apply that to my business. So it's not, the challenge that I faced was allowing myself and others to shrink my abilities and not believing in what I could really do. So once I got past that and stepped off the hamster wheel, then I was able to really start growing and get out there and network and get back into the community relations. So I had to use my tools and use my resources and get to know people and share resources with other people and start building relationships within the Black community as a whole in Las Vegas. And so once I left Las Vegas and came to Idaho, I I basically had to start from scratch and just kind of tweak my business platform a little bit. I did a little bit of rebranding to see what it was that people in Idaho needed and my new community needed, where I could service them and put that in the forefront, because now I'm going to be out in this community. But I still represent my Las Vegas Black community as well. I still have clients out there and people who are very much in touch with me as well. So the challenge was getting off the hamster wheel, believing in myself and using my tools and resources.
Thank you, Candace. I appreciate your input. May?
Some of my challenges, since I've been here in Idaho, well, in general, when I was really young, as it's one of my first jobs ever, I worked for Universal Studios. And having that job is really a lifelong job. Really, I could go back to Universal Studios if I wanted to today. That's the relationship that I have with them. I have that honor for them because they trained me in areas. They let me know that what I knew naturally as an entrepreneur, I was correct and that I was on the right path. And so I took a lot of the training that I learned from them: customer service, customer relations, customer experiences. Experiences especially is something that I am still building for my business in Idaho. Vegan food, food in general can be nostalgic. If it reminds you of your childhood or your hometown or things of that nature. So building nostalgia is one of my challenges here. Because number one, you need a brick and mortar for that. And I had a brick and mortar at one point when I first started. And when I got here, my family is from the South. I'm actually in Alabama as we speak right now. My family's from the South, and I've always had a Southern hospitality about myself. And being in California, being so nice wasn't always wanted. People are really to themselves and things. So I had to adjust in that regard because my mother raised me to be very kind and welcoming. So if someone moves the next door, you're taking them pie and cookies and things like that. I had to actually get out of that because there's not much of that around anymore. People don't really do that anymore. But as I've gotten older, I learned that these are things that make me unique. These are things that set me apart, and they help my business grow. But the challenge I had in Idaho is me being too welcoming and too friendly. And what I mean by that is everybody that smiles is not your friend. And it's excellent when other, like I said, I started my business for my people. And of course I welcome everyone, but majority of the people that was coming to my business was not Black. They were white. And people have all these wonderful things to say, and they want to help you, and they want to help, and I thought that was so amazing at first, because that's how I am. Like, I come through, like, I want to help, I want to put, whatever you need, whatever I can do, that's me, so I was welcoming to that. But I learned that actually along my journey has been my downfall, because people have come to try to take my recipes. People have come to try to take, like, it's the brick and mortar that I was in. People ask me, only a few people know this story about my brick and mortar. When I started, I was in the Adelman building. And that building is a historic building. The Boise Fry Company is there. Dharma was there. Press and Pony was downstairs. I had a bar downstairs. So basically I had the ability to have a restaurant space that had 2 dining rooms and a full-size kitchen. And I was renting that kitchen for almost nothing. It was a blessing that I prayed on, and God answered my prayer and put me in there. And I was able to stay there when the pandemic started, because mind you, I started my business in January 1st of 2020, just as the pandemic hit the States. And so my business started up, and then it was shut down. So all people around me in the area was losing their businesses. And my business was growing vastly. And so people were wondering what was going on with me. Other people, as they were dying in their business, was wondering what was going on with mine. And my welcoming of that Adelman building, sometimes the spirits talk to us and they say, tread lightly, be careful, cautious, and things like that. And I remember having a dream about somebody coming to take my space. And I met this lady, called me on the phone and said, "Hey, May, I want you to collaborate with this lady." And I was like, "Great. Yeah, let's see what she has, But this is already after someone else had tried to come and take my recipes. The lady wanted to sit in my kitchen and watch me make my stuff. Okay. She just wanted to sit at the door and just, a lot. And then I realized all these people who wanted to volunteer for me, I had to be careful. Because if they want to work for free, nobody is working for free. They want something. And so I realized her wanting to see, how did I make my chicken like that? And how did you make that macaroni like that? And what did you put in that? Like, how did you make it taste? It was a lot of that. And some people came and worked for me, and I never saw them again. They took some of those recipes with them, and I never saw them again. And some people, so in particular, my biggest challenge when I first started, I was in that Adelman building for a month or 2 in. By 3rd month, of course, the pandemic started. And then in April, just 4 months after I started my business, I broke both of my ankles. Broke both of my ankles, into where I was shut down completely. And I feel like people say, "Oh, that's so tragic that you broke your ankles." And I say, no, actually, that was God talking to me. It was a blessing that I broke my ankles, because God knows, he says, I can't just break one, because she's going to keep working. I've been working for God. Like, that's not going to sit her down. I need her to sit. We can keep her safe. And so she could sit in and plan and do what she needs to do. He broke both of my ankles, and I had to be in a wheelchair for the first time in my life. Since I was a teenager, I was not working. And that was an adjustment for me. That was a humbling experience for me, but it allowed me to sit back and watch some of these people that were in my circle, that were wanting to volunteer, Right. So anyway, this lady, she came and they said, let's meet with her. And as she came in and she wanted to see my space. And when I showed her the space, I swear to you, like a spirit tapped me on the shoulder and said, this is the lady I was telling you about. And less than 30 days later, that lady, I had a business when I got to Idaho. I still had a business in California. I had a cannabis business. I sold edibles. I made edibles, and I had been doing that since like 2003. But when I came to Idaho, I was going back and forth. So every month I would be in California for a week and then back here, back and forth. And I had to stop doing that because people were stealing my products when I would come back to Idaho. So anyway, so I had to, be permanent. But this lady, I left to California, and when I came back, she had snuck in. She told me she was going to meet with the people that I was renting the space from. And she wanted to be in the kitchen with me. Like, we were going to share the space. And I was like, it's a huge kitchen. Yeah, that's not a problem. Because spirits told me that's the lady I was telling you about. 30 days later, that lady was in my space and I was out. I was not able to renew my lease at the Adamant building. And I'm telling you, I cried because it was heartbreaking for me because I had built my successes in that building. And I had dreams of having, when the doors were able to open and we could have dine-in experiences, I was ready to give people a soulful Black experience in that space. And that was removed from me. And that really, it broke me down. It made me want to leave Idaho. It made me want to give up my space and stop doing my vegan food here. And a few people reached out to me and pulled me out of that dark space. And they said, May, you need to stay here. And I worked hard to, and I still have my struggles. I think I mentioned to one of you guys, it's been to some people's advantage that I'm moving slow right now. But that's okay, because it's allowing me to sit back and watch what's happening around me and who is helpful to me and who is not, and those people who have come. Now I know when somebody's volunteering, I have to check them out thoroughly, because they might be
diligence.
Yeah, they might want to just, take my style and start their own business, and so I have to be cautious of that. So those were my challenges, breaking my ankles and still having to get back up and keep my business. I was actually literally cooking from my chair. I was in like walking boots. Okay. And I opened up one day and this lady, when I went downstairs in my wheelchair to see how many customers, there was like 50 people standing outside. And I had to, in my wheelchair, get out and put on my walking boots. And I actually set my healing back. I pushed my healing back quite a bit because I was still trying to work through, that process. But those was my challenges. I learned that I have to protect my business like it's a diamond. And you just don't go out showing everybody hey, look at my diamond. No, I have to cover it and say, hey, only a chosen few can know that I have this diamond and what it's about and how valuable it is. So my challenges has been, I have to be careful of the people that I meet and what they say, as a Black person in Idaho, I'm even in more danger. And I understand the environment is different from where all the places that I've been and I've done businesses at. Idaho I am in more danger here because there are people, when they see that you're profitable, they will try to get in there, So yeah, those are my challenges.
Thank you, May. Bam?
Not much to say. I mean, I think there's some common trend with all of us, and it's just what you said. It's called recalibration. It's just what it is that we're going through. And I think Ms. Sherry said it earlier, which is exactly what Ms. Messenger said. There's going to be hiccups, but all of it is for calibration. And thank God for those who asked you to stay. You have not seen where you're going. The light is inside. Nobody can take that away. You can't hide your diamond. It's going to come out. But sometimes, just like you said, it took God to break your 2 ankles. God help me, I don't want that one. But when that happens, it says you're going places. Trust me, you have not seen the beginning of where you're going. All those people you're seeing, they're just the people to do that. It's been the same with me. And I think one of the things for us being Black in business in Idaho is we're not a typical story. So we don't fit the mold. You have to create the mold.
Right.
I say this to people. My mother told me I was the best until I met my wife. She doesn't believe that. So the same thing. I believed I was the best, and then Idaho tells you maybe you're not.
Yeah.
So it's a reality check. But then, okay, I may not be the best, but I'm still good around, right? So I have to find a new language. 30 years that Michelle has been here means a lot. The first generation's meant a lot. It may not have been a lot of accomplishments in that way, but it's a lot of survival. Survival alone, it means a lot. Now, for the state of Idaho, if we see the transplantation from the country coming into the state of Idaho, in about 20 years from today, the Black population will be much different than it is right now. Much of what we're doing now, unknown to us, is probably just trying to survive for so many that will come after us. When Katrina happened in '05, few people came down from what's it called, not New Orleans, and tried to stay here. And I remember people going to the town. People would tell me in Walmart, in Winco, "Hey, do you like the weather here? It's very cold. You don't want to stay here." Of course, they want you to go. That's time. And the idea is don't stay. But you can't stop the staying now because Boise is growing and this whole region is growing. But what we're doing, please just understand, in the next few years meant so much. It's been the same with me, trying to break the mold. What I do, it's just difficult to find my kind there. But it's okay because I think the human nature has a kindness inside it. And I think it may be difficult, but if you find the right tone, I think we get there. So for me, there's been those hiccups trying to recalibrate just to find my voice there. The first thing is, who told you somebody like you can be here? The next thing is, are you sure you want to stay here? The next thing, maybe you should leave. Well, trust me, those are just the initial greeds. But once you stay, there's just such value. I like to state this, and I stop there. The whole nation is looking at us in Idaho. We may be just one, but the whole nation is looking at us in Idaho. In our own lifetime, there will be a governor, there will be a Black person here. But the only problem is we cannot see it right now. The whole nation is looking for that good news. At some point, Obama showed himself up and he became president. It's going to happen, but we don't know who, we don't know when. But what you're doing is part of what will make it happen. So that's what I like to do.
Thank you, Bam. Before I call on Trish, I just want to say that, when I first came here, all of my friends were like, "You're not going to stay there. That's Whitey, Idaho, and why are you going there anyway? They're going to hang you up there. They don't like you up there, And so, but I listened to my calling. I believe that all of us have an assignment. I truly believe that. And where there's some rough patches, absolutely super, super rough patches. And I think if I had listened to the enemy, I would have packed up and went back to Sacramento. But I knew that, there was a calling, so to speak, on my life. And, God wanted me here. Now, the first 10 years, I was like, why? Why am I here? I could be in Sacramento making so much money. But I listened to that still small voice and I stayed. And was it easy all the time? No. But what it was necessary. And the reason I say that is because here I am 30 some odd years later, my business is a breeze. It's a super success. My shop is open right now and I'm sitting in my bed facilitating a meeting and my business is still doing what it's supposed to do. And had I gone back, none of that would be happening. Not only that, but I was able to start a couple of nonprofits that are helping and building in my community. So yes, there's going to always be challenges, but part of what I want to say to all of you right now is despite the challenges, continue, because we are in a unique situation in the Pacific Northwest when it comes to Black entrepreneurship. So hang in there. Don't give up. I know it's rough sometimes. Call me on the phone. Let's chat. Let's go to coffee. let me share some of the tools that were given to me to help me stay there. And this is a segue into me getting ready to call on Trish, because one of the things that I found that helped me stay in Idaho was Trish. Because when I met her, I said to her, "Where are you from?" Because I just figured any strong Black woman that I ran into could not have been from here. Like, she had to be a transplant, because I'm a transplant, right? And so she's like, "I'm from here." I was like, "But you a real Black woman. I ain't met no real Black woman from Idaho. Like, you were born here for real?" She said, "Yeah, my mama was too, and mama grandma." Okay. So Trish, let's talk about part B. What were some of your challenges?
I have not had any challenges going into entrepreneurship because I've had such strong family support, because I've had mentors that have helped me go into this. I would say that my only challenge has been uh, allowing Black folks to realize that they need me. When I first started, I thought we were going to open the doors and that every Black person that's in business was going to come flocking to the BCA and want to work with us. But what I found is that Black folks are still feeling as though they've had to make it on their own, which we've had to do in the past. They've had to survive on their own, which we've had to do in the past. And that not everybody's there to help you. And so to you, May Gaines, I say, you can trust the BCA. I don't want your recipes. I do want to make sure that your business is as successful as you want your business to be. And so I want every business that's in partnership with the BCA to know that I'm not going to make a dime off of your business. I want your business to be so successful, because that's the legacy that I want to create for Idaho, is to have very strong, successful businesses in Idaho that our generation, that our kids and our kids' kids can be proud of. Those are the only challenges that I'm facing. The only other point that I would make to you, Sherry, is that if we could have our answers be a little bit more brief so that we could get through all the questions. We're going to continue this conversation, and we want to have it as an ongoing conversation. But if we could just kind of shorten up our answers just a little bit so that we can get through, as our time is going to come to an end at 1:30. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So one of the questions, question number 4, we're going to forego just because we've all already answered it. And so we'll go with number 3. What resources did you find that helped you with your business? So in terms of resources, that could be community connections, finances, location, whatever that you found as a resource. Can you share that with us, Candace?
Sure. So throughout my entrepreneur journey, nonprofits and SBAs for sure, organizations that are here to help us get started, give us some sense of direction. If you come to them with an idea, they can give you a direction of some sort. And work exchange and internships. So I've done quite a bit of volunteer work since I've gotten started, and I'm proud of it. I'm here and I'm willing to do more volunteer work if it gets me to where I need to go. So it's about the energy of exchange to me. You have to give in order to receive, and I needed insight to the industry as a whole. Not just what I know about health and wellness and being a yoga instructor. I needed to know more about holistic healing in order to be successful within my industry. And so I found people who were already experienced and had a successful business, people who I aspire to be like or as successful as one day. So I mentored under them, and I did free volunteer work for businesses and practitioners.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
May Gaines, I asked you the same question. What resources did you find that helped you?
some of the resources, one of them in particular was the honeycomb credit. I actually was researching honeycomb credit, and that's the researching honeycomb credit. I was researching grants and things like that online. A lot of the grants, I applied for some grants, some of them I didn't get. And I had to go back and revise my grant, proposals and things like that. So books and stuff like that I bought and read. But honeycomb credit was a great help to me. They gave me, not only helped me get funding, because that was an issue. I had run businesses before and I couldn't get funding. And so came here to Idaho, same thing happened here. I couldn't get funding. So they helped me get funding almost immediately. And not only did they just give me funding, but they gave me some amazing resources. And what I mean by that, they gave me resources with other Black entrepreneurs that are doing excellently. So I'm going into the frozen foods department with Vegan Soul. And so they hooked me up with a gentleman by the name of Miles, and he already has vegan frozen macaroni and cheese in the store, someone like that. Idaho Women's Association, there's a business here. They were very helpful in helping me get my my balance sheets and things like that, and accounting, stuff like that. So the honeycomb credit was a great resource for me. Also, the Black 10K project. Okay, so when we were talking about me struggling and keeping my business going, the Black 10K project is one of those people who pulled me out of the dark place. They let me know that it was vital for me to stay as a Black business in Idaho. Vital, not just needed, vital for me to stay. And the reason why they was telling, one of the things that I learned about that really quickly, that helped me to realize I need to stay, they said that the only people that employ Black people are the government and Black people. So if there are that are being bought out, because a lot of businesses are being bought out. The Carol's daughter, I can go on a lot of we know them. They get bought out, and so if they're buying these, if a big white corporation are buying out these Black businesses once they reach a certain level, where is the legacy for our people? Where is that going? This is a tactic that Black people don't realize is going to hurt us 20 years from now. This is going to kill us 20 years from now. So they told me to say that the Black employees is us. We're the ones who employ us. So if we don't have our business, who's going to hire us? Nobody. So you're going to have dark and lovely and ain't going to be no Black people working there. To me, okay, so the resources, the Black 10K project, let me understand that the Black dollar doesn't even circulate in our community more than 8 hours, where other races, their dollars floats in the community for months afterwards. That's a problem. So these facts brought me to tears about how we're not really supporting each other. And it made me understand that I need to keep going with my business, and that these were the biggest resources for me. Black 10K project and the honeycomb project. Honeycomb credit is a source if you need funding. And realistically, the funding that I got from honeycomb credit, the interest rate is actually lower than I would have gotten from the bank. I'm paying it's not the best, but it's lower than the bank was going to give me. So these are resources that will follow. And if anybody wants that help with the honeycomb credit, you can reach out to me, because me helping you actually lowers my interest rate. That's another thing. If I get someone else to sign up, it lowers my interest rate even more. So these are things that are helpful for us Black businesses, and they are strong supporters of Black businesses. And I'm telling you, honeycomb project, honeycomb credit, and 10K project, amazing people.
Thank you so much, May. That was some valuable information. Thank you for sharing that. Pam?
Wow, you're hitting a real big nugget here.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
It's going to come back to you, Ms. Trish, at BCA. You're going to do heavy lifting on this subject, because what we just heard is just what it is. And if we cannot reason just based on that, well, sorry. And you are doing an organization now, probably like you just said, it wasn't for your own personal benefit. There is all of us in isolated silos, but we have to start talking.
That's exactly right.
Because we don't talk, then you're not going to blame anybody. We can distrust each other too early thinking I bootstrap myself all along. Yeah, that's all right, but you're not going to go far. And so what you're doing now, I want to encourage you a lot to reach out. To be honest, I'm hearing about the BCA the first time today. I'm all in, even before you ask me. Anything you will do, get this group together. And just like you said, ma'am, who's going to hire us? The children we have, who's going to hire them? It's going to become a more competitive society going forward. And if the money doesn't stay, then we get the end of the job. It's nobody to blame because we didn't think ahead. It's just what it is. And it is so in the country today, even in the area that I am in, say you're in tech, our folks get to management level, they got to let you go because you won't get a chance to go. If you don't build something to help others, it's not like they won't be able to compete, but we have a burgeoning population that should have some reasons to stay. So there is all this government support system, like you said, the Small Business Administration, Small Business Development Center, the Procurement Technical Assistance Center. I'll give you an example. The federal government has signed that bipartisan $1 trillion act that the president just passed through Congress. By the reason the way the government is structured, our population is about 13% of the union. About 13% of that money should go to us. It's structured that way. That's 130 billion. In the long run, we're not going to see 4 billion. So who sees
Right.
this? Because we let it go. So this is the reason our association matter. What you just said about 8 minutes in the community is because we organize to do so. And we can organize to help. And the BCA, everything that you can envision, reach out. I hope that there will be more of these Zoom calls, get more folks on these calls. Let's do it frequently. We're trying to survive is what we're trying to do. And if there's any way we can keep doing this with a favor to it, let us go ahead. It's for the betterment of the United States. We're not doing anything outside of what we want, and we'll get something good. And this is all I'll say, man.
Thank you, Van. Trish?
The resources that I found that have helped me has been connecting me with a small business administration, the Idaho Women's Business Center. And so a lot of their model is what we are doing for the BCA. So what we would do is we would get you signed up as a business. I'm speaking to May Gaines specifically. We'd get you signed up as a business, find out where you're at in your business, and then be that resource to connect you with whomever can help you with your business, to get you into a brick and mortar, to get you into your, if you have a food truck, just however you need to be successful with your business, we want to connect you with that resource. There are partners that are out there and that they say they want to help. And so we're going to hold them accountable to be that help to you and for you. And if we find, like, let's say it's a loan and you're not able to get that loan, you're not able to qualify for that loan, then we're going to go back and we're going to say, well, what's next? Because I don't want to be that person that just picks you up and then drops you and not help you to be successful, to continue on. And so the resources that I have been able to find, I'm going to connect you to those same resources. Thank you, Sherry.
Okay, so question number 4 was about assumptions, and we all made the assumption that because we were coming in, we were going to be the only one, that we were just going to have people flocking to our doors. We've chatted about that a little bit. So I'd like to go on to number 5, which is, do you believe that entrepreneurship is the path to create wealth and job opportunities in the Black community? And my answer to that is absolutely. My thing for me and my family is that I want to create generational wealth for myself, my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. I believe that there's an entrepreneur in each and every one of us. What I also believe is that the resources have not been readily made available for people of color. One of the things that we are trying to do here in this setting is, like Van said, and do more of it, is to have these conversations, because what is true is exactly what Megan said, is that, you know, when we make it, that whole shiny nickel in your face, and then you sell it off, and then we're no longer employing or owning our own stuff. Well, what's the reason for that? The reason for that is financial security, right? And so having these conversations connect us to one another so that we can be resources for one another. So do I believe that entrepreneurship is the path to create wealth and job opportunities in the Black community? Absolutely. And one of the things that I've done since I've been here is I'll take on a young hairstylist, bring them into my salon, teach them how to sign up to get your IEN, teach them how to register for the Secretary of State, teach them how to run a successful bookkeeping operation for your business, how to manage your incoming products and your outgoing products, and how to make that work so you can still receive a paycheck from your business. Did I receive a paycheck from my business the first 5 years? No. So I had another job. I had another hustle on the side. But these are things that we had to do, that I had to do in order to maintain myself in my business. So I'm going to propose the question. Candace, do you believe that entrepreneurship is that avenue for a long time success?
Again, absolutely. Just to exactly what you were saying, Ms. Sherry, we are creatives, and so we create opportunities, we create experiences, we create an opportunity for the people that come after us. So as an entrepreneur, you have to assume that you have to accept that responsibility. It's not just to create a business for yourself and create wealth for yourself, but you accept the responsibility that you have to pull the next person up, because you're the trailblazer in your community, the first one that looks like you, that's doing what you're doing. It doesn't mean that you're the only one, or you have to be the only one. There's a young person in high school who's trying to figure out whether or not they want to go to a 4-year college, or whether or not they want to become an entrepreneur. There's someone that's in their freshman year in college that doesn't know whether or not they want to stick with it, and they can't find a major, and they don't have a passion for anything. But you can open that door and say, hey, this is an option too, and this is something we're doing for our community. I can teach you, I can take you under, a mentorship, whatever the case is, but you accept that responsibility, that you don't just stop with yourself and your family. This is something that you owe the community as well. So I do believe that entrepreneurs can definitely help the community grow, and we have to do this. It's our responsibility.
Thank you, Candace. I appreciate it. Megan?
I did, of course, I've been working for myself for quite a long time. So, but one of the things I used to tell people used to think I was crazy. I used to tell people, the average millionaire has 6 incomes. And they used to joke about me and say I was like the Jamaican lady from Living Color, because I would have all these different jobs, but when my children were growing up, when my daughters were growing up, people would be like, what does your mom do? Because we lived in Calabasas and Woodland Hills area. So people like, what y'all do? And people would be in our business trying to find out what my jobs were. But I did a little bit of everything. I taught dance class. I did hair. I made bags. I made costumes. I was cooking. I paint. I like all these different gigs, like singing, songwriting, whatever I read in the Bible, God blesses the works of your hands. So my hands can do a lot of things, you know what I'm saying? So I always try to utilize these talents that I had. And I became an entrepreneur. The reason why I became an entrepreneur is because I recognized that I was always put in leadership roles when I worked for companies. But I wasn't getting paid, and I was putting all this time, but I was benefiting the company, but I wasn't getting what I wanted. So I realized if I put that investment into myself, imagine how my wheels would be moving if I worked for myself. And when I started to do that, I started to make so much money and start to survive in ways that I didn't think I would be able to survive before. So it was me. I spent my first 10, 20 years trying to convince people that working for yourself is the way to go. And now people are understanding you need a product. You need to get your stuff out there and work. Now it's the trend. But I was been trying to push, especially women. I've been trying to push women for a long time to work for themselves. So to me, it is the key. It is the key of the future. We have to. To me, in my vision, I see this as society's future. It's going to be a bartering type of thing. What do you have versus what we're going to be selling to each other in the future, because these big companies is going to be pushing us out. We're going to have to be selling to each other. I see it as the future. If you don't have a product or something to sell, it's going to be a problem in the future. And that's how I feel.
I agree. Thank you. Thank you, May. Bam?
It's always been the way that entrepreneurship is the only way to go forward. And when we look at a system, in the last year, there was the PPP that was given out. And of that money that went out, I think it was in trillion, the number of dollars that went out. If you see where they went to, this is how society is able to reposition itself. The federal government has always wanted us. So I also work for the government in another way, procurement technical assistance. And the amount that has to come to our community exists. But there's a two bridge to it: skill, ask. There's no skill that we've said here today, or we've not said, that it does not sell to the government. The other thing is the river bed lifts and the water level goes up. If any one of us gets a lot of revenue from government and spend it wisely based on Ms. Megan's advice about keeping it in the community, everybody gains. And that comes from communication, which is the reason we need to be talking to each other, so we begin to understand what else is behind the corner. The opportunity exists. The amount of money we can make from taking a paycheck is poor. The amount of money we can make from even individual business is a lot. We make so much more by working together. And that working together is this little secret. So we have black banks, we have black all this. When you go to try to take a government contract, they ask you to get a collateral for the amount that you can use to get it. Very few people have a lot of $1 million in their home. A few people can band together and make these things work. This is the reason people talk and we make things work. And I hope that we can see the reason to entrepreneurship. We can magnify our growth quickly. The hatred that there can be in our society that we see has nothing to do with, it's just got to do with who wants to keep the money. Nobody stops anybody from getting the money. So if we didn't get it, we didn't ask, and so we can get it. I think it's our own challenge to do. Thank you.
All right. So we're getting close to our ending time. And this has been like such a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I'm just really already wanting to schedule to do it again, because at first I thought hour and a half is going to be a long time. We're not going to, we're going to run out of things to talk about. Boy, was I wrong. I always do that. Like, this has been such enlightening. So very briefly, I'm going to just kind of combine the last two questions, which is, we all have already talked about number 6, about how the legacy of entrepreneurship can be traced back to our ancestors before us. And how Black Wall Street was just an amazing thing to happen. And what I would like to see is us collaborate and make it happen again. We have the ability. We are smart. We are creative. We have the ability to sustain ourselves and our communities. And so very briefly, I just want everybody to just kind of chime in as to what does it look like moving forward with you in light of COVID, which has kind of derailed all of us, and just a brief statement about what you have found to do during these trying times to continue to make your business thrive. Candace?
So I'm going to try to be as brief as possible, but I do think that the camaraderie of Black-owned businesses will give a sense of healing to our community and help us progress as a whole. However, when it comes to my business, what I feel like I can offer and help grow in the Black community on this journey to be as successful as Black Wall Street is a sense of healing for mind, body, and spirit, because you can't produce goods until you heal from your past. So there's a lot of healing that needs to be done in our community with self and with trust in the community as well. And so my business, I'm really trying to focus on that and offer people an opportunity to heal for self first, and then move on to building a community and businesses that can strengthen the Black community.
Thank you, Candace. Miss
I
Jane?
totally agree with her. The healing starts with love. Healing and love to me goes together. And we need more of that in this Idaho community. One of the things that I think is needed, and is just my recommendation, is when there is a Black business here, whether it's your salon or we need to make it a point, whether it's once a month or once every 3 months, or we all, from everybody in this coalition, we gather as many people as we can and we go to that business. We support them by letting them see us there. Kind of like I said, like we do in the South. We go and we knock on your door and bring you a pie and let you know, hey, we here to buy your products or whatever. We all getting our hair done. With 10 of us at the door. Like, that's the kind of love that we need to show, because that's where the trust is built, because otherwise we feel isolated and alone here. And I have to admit that that's how I have felt. We talked about the challenge. I know this should have been brief. I really want to bring more of my people to my business. So that's why I'm always recreating my recipes, and because I want to hit you in the mouth to where they're like, we're going to go see her, but realistically, the love should start from it, just me being your Black sister. Like,
That's right.
We should all make it a point to do that with every business that we have. And there's businesses I support that I don't even eat their food, but I go and buy it anyway, because that's what I want to do to support them.
Absolutely.
To me, this is a show of love. And this is how we start to heal and start to get away from these traumas that we're living in, adjusted trauma. And that causes us to isolate ourselves. And I ride that boat. This is something I'm working on with myself, of coming out of my trauma of feeling alone, and to where I have to be seen and to have my people there. So that to me is important. And I think that's is how we help this issue we have in Idaho.
Well, when you come back to Idaho, me and you need to have lunch. I want to sit with you. I want to talk to you. I want to connect with you. I know we've seen each other in passing, and please accept my apology, because a lot of times I'm moving fast, and I came in there and I chatted with you real quick, but I really didn't make any, reach out connections. And that's my bad. I'm apologizing to you right now for that, because normally, and Candace will tell you, if somebody comes to town, I'm connected. I'm trying to connect with you. Because I was one who moved in, and Trish did that for me. And so I try to do it for other people. When Candace reached out to me, I made an appointment with her immediately to sit down and have a conversation. And that made her feel like she was welcome in the community. So please accept my apology. Mr. Bam, I'm going to move to you super quickly, and then I'm going to turn it over to Miss Trish to close us out. You good,
All
Mr.
I'm saying is, when is the next Zoom meeting? And
That's right, exactly.
That's all I need to know. That's all. We'll talk
All right.
when we
Miss
meet
Trish,
again.
we're going to give it to you for the last words and to close us out.
So as we wrap up, I'd just like to say thank you to all of our business panelists, to our resource partners, to the Idaho Connect, to the SBA, to Ms. Sherry Baber, to BAM, and to our community. This is just the first of many ongoing conversations that we want to have with our business and with our community. We also invited our resource partners to listen to what our businesses need, to what the challenges are that they're going through, and how we can learn from each other. I think I said it in the very beginning that we are not a monolith, and so we each have needs that need to be met for each other, and we need to have an ongoing conversation. And not only do we need to have an ongoing conversation, but we need to have solutions. And so we want to be that solution for each business represented, as well as for the community. There are some people that are on this call today that are not a business, that might want to go into business. And so we want to support all of you in this community. So I thank you for your time. Please check us out on our website. It's www.idahobca.com. We're also on Facebook. I'm Learning Instagram. But we just want to be there to support you. We will as well. We will have some different classes that are scheduled for you as a resource. We will be going across the state to engage with our businesses. So Bam, I'm going to look you up so that we can connect face to face. And May Gaines, you had one more thing that you wanted to add?
Yes, I wanted to say I would really, really highly suggest that we have another meeting that is pertaining to what is the plan of action, because I think that's something that we have not discussed. We do need a plan of action in order for us to be able to help each other in our businesses. And so yeah. Because I have a lot of other businesses I'm going to be starting here. There's 2 other businesses I'm actually going to start here in Idaho.
The plan of action is to connect with the BCA. So once you connect with us, then we can be that resource to go out and to help those other businesses. This is just the first of many calls. And the biggest thing for you right now is to register with the BCA. We will schedule to have another call. I promise you we're going to have another call. And we'll invite more and more and more businesses. And as we're able to have face-to-face meetings, we'll do that as well. But I would just encourage everyone that's on this call, sign up with the BCA. It's for us to be able to connect as a community. So thank you, Sherry, for your time. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And I hope that you were able to just glean some of the nuggets from this call, and just for us to be able to grow as a community. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. We'll all talk